Do you remember Lyoko? Oh, I remember. The year was 2006. I would be in my room watching one of the 3 channels I knew had cartoons or sitcoms. However, I'd always find myself watching Cartoon Network. Then, it began.
I hate this channel.
No! No!
That very song that blessed my ears. I'd get off my bed, and I'd begin to dance to this absolute banger! If you remember anything about this show, you remember that its intro slapped. And for that reason, it is on the list of intros we do not skip. Now, if you're like me, Lyoko was that part of your childhood that's just in the back of your head until it randomly or someone else brings it up, and you're just like, oh right, that was a thing. It's been God knows how long since I watched this series, and so I want to do a little retrospective dive on this thing. You know, reflect, learn new things, like why their foreheads are so freaking big, the behind the scenes stuff, and everything that happened after it ended. Let's see how much we remember about Lyoko. So, Lyoko wasn't Lyoko at first. In the beginning, animation students Thomas Romain and Tanya Palumbo created Las Enfants Font le Cinema, which translates to Children Make Their Own Cinema, a short animation in 2000 for the Annecy Film Festival, a animation competition. Watching this as a kid, I didn't know this show was French.
Bonjour.
This did serve as our first look into our main characters and some side characters, although some didn't make the cut. Who the hell is this? This, however, was a great opportunity for the 2 animation students. The French animation company Antifilm saw their animation and said, "You're hired." Excuse me? The animation you showed? I vibe with it. You're hired. It's missing a D though. Missing a what? We got another D we want to add to this production. A 3rd D, if you will. You got a deal. Together, they created the prototype called Garage Kids. The concept and ideas for this pilot were pretty much the same as what we got in the regular show we watched, for the most part. There were a couple of changes to be made after the pilot here. First being a stronger boundary between the real and the virtual world, which made the characters lose their powers on Earth. Those would have been helpful. A stronger focus on the video game elements, lighten up the tone, changing the name because Garage Kids was apparently unclear. Like I understood what the heck Lyoko even meant. And the real killer here, shift to a more episodic format for rerun potential. We'll talk about that later in the video. Heck, my man Thomas Romain left because of all these changes happening, and began working on a production called Open Star Racers. I ain't even gonna lie to you. This show looks sick as fuck. The other creator, Tanya Palumbo, would stay on as a creative director for the rest of the series though, but allegedly would leave the world of animation after the series ended, according to an interview with Thomas Romain in 2020 when Lyoko got put onto Netflix. Again. Brief synopsis of the season here. So we have our 4 main characters, Jeremy, Odd, Auric, and Yumi. These 4 have to fight on a virtual world called Lyoko in order to defend the Earth from an evil artificial intelligence called Xana, who is hellbent on taking over the world. All the meanwhile trying to make progress in order to bring a girl that they found over in Lyoko known as Alita over to Earth. If they do that, they can shut down the supercomputer which Xana is inhabiting and just kill him off for good. While Jeremy's playing the support role, the other 3 have to defend Alita against the onslaught of Xana's monsters because she's the only one that can deactivate a tower, putting a stop to Xana's attack on Earth. All the meanwhile, someone on Earth is dying.
Help me! I don't want to die!
Don't worry, take your time. They hit their rewind button and everything's good. And that's it for this season. Each episode can be summarized into 3 simple things.
Xana's up to something. A tower's been activated. Tower deactivated. Return to the past now.
Put that on loop for 26 episodes and you got a season. The first episode doesn't even really feel like a first episode. Sure, it helps establish basic concepts like the return to the past and why they can't call the police, and that the return to the past can't bring the dead back to life.
We can't leave the school unguarded, and even going back in time, if there's an accident, it's all over.
But when this episode aired, the real episode 1 didn't come out until 3 years later. That's not even the biggest offense. For some reason, 3 of the episodes in Season 1 don't have any lyrics in the intro.
What?
That's just criminal. I'm all hyped up, ready to jam out, and you give me nothing. Never has a show's intro tricked, bamboozled, and blueballed me before. This is truly a first. Now, you're probably thinking, damn, he really didn't care for Season 1. It's quite the opposite, actually. Season 1 is by far the weakest season, yes. But it had something that none of the other seasons had. Something that kept me entertained the entire time I watched this season. Unhinged Xana. Xana has a goal in each season, but Season 1 was so damn simple, so damn effective, that it's a miracle that this show's body count is canonically 0. Xana's goal? Kill! Xana just wanted to kill, and he was so goddamn creative about it too. Imagine if someone had a long Christmas list, but instead of who's naughty and nice, it's just different ways to kill you. And they were capable of doing each and every single thing on that list. Sure, the main characters were his priority, but nobody was safe. Not even Alita. Her plot armor was not strong enough this season. He wanted every little bit of that smoke. Man, I haven't tried to come up in like 3 hours. What am I gonna do next? Hold up, let me check the list. Ooh, I can sink the whole damn city. Might say that for a later episode. Crash them into a chemical plant and watch them burn? Nah. I recently saw the Alien movie. I thought it was cool. I could try that out. I might just throw a whole laser from space at them. Especially Yumi. She's on top of my list. What episode are we even on? 11? I'll possess an army of rats and have them eat them alive. You thought I was gonna settle for a disease? Ha! These rats are hungry! My man tried to blow up a nuclear power plant, killing all life over an obscene radius. In the 2nd episode. Oh my god. Alita and Yumi, in a way, actually died this season, or the closest thing this show has to dying. If you fall into the digital sea, you're lost. And Yumi falls into there. She got better though. And Alita shows herself to be the most selfless character, sacrificing herself to deactivate a tower. She got better though. Watching Xana evolve and learn throughout the course of this show is really one of the coolest things, because it's pretty freaky how well he knows the main characters down to their schedule and personalities for his next attack. Sure, he has his off days, his repeat days, but also his unhinged days. The writing process for the season was interesting actually. According to a 2007 interview with Sophie Decroisette, get used to hearing that name, the writing director of Lyoko, up until the 4th season, and who also worked closely with Jérôme Mouscadet, the show's director, she would ask the other writers for story pitches and write pitches herself. If she and others liked it, it'll move on to a 4-page synopsis and finally a script. But in between each step, the director and production team and broadcasters offer their opinion and they'll change the script accordingly. So, to the people that gave me my unhinged Xana episodes, thank you! So, while defending the world and Alita from Xana's attacks, Jeremy, meanwhile, is working on a program to materialize Alita, which is done by episode 25, and they actually managed to do so. Ignoring the Alita lookalike that caused drama for like 8 episodes and we never see her or hear a word from her ever again in the entire show. However, upon trying to shut down the supercomputer, they learned that Xana did something to Alita upon materialization, and if anything were to shut down the supercomputer, she'll actually just die. On the spot. Unfortunately, Alita must remain on Lyoko after being given a taste of life on Earth. She's the only one able to warn them about Xana's attacks. She sacrifices her freedom and human life to help fight and protect her friends and the world they live in. Till the first episode of Season 2 where she could just live on Earth with no problem. Season 2 adds so much. Both the 2D and the 3D have gotten a budget increase because, let's be honest, Season 1 was looking kinda rough. They introduced plot, new characters, a new sector, new monsters, the best running gag in the series,
You worked in a psychiatric hospital?
I'd rather not talk about it.
And quite possibly the best addition in the entire series. And I'm not lying when I say I was genuinely so happy when I saw this. Alita runs inside the towers now! Oh my god! We've had motherfuckers almost die for God knows how many episodes in a row, but Alita always took her sweet time getting inside that tower. She'd go in, walk, break dance a little bit, ascend, do a flip, type the password, day saved. By episode 37, she is no longer on the walkway, she's officially on the damn runway. So as I mentioned, Season 2 introduced an actual plot being formed and sprinkled in mystery directed on Alita and her past, and I feel like the first 5 episodes of this season are some of the best and strongest episodes of the series, especially coming off of Season 1. Season 2 pretty much immediately got me hooked on what was going to happen. Who are the Men in Black? Franz Hopper, the origins of Lyoko, Carthage. Man, I can't wait to learn more in... Why the hell is Xana going around kissing everybody? It's weird. This season sets up so much, but then it kinda just comes to a complete halt until like the last 4 episodes. They introduced this brand new sector that's later to be revealed to be where Xana resides, but they don't really explore it very deeply. They can't just go there when they need to get some random data that will help them solve X problem they have, and it only takes like a few minutes at the beginning or at the end of an episode. Hell, there's a span of 8 episodes where they don't visit or even go to Sector 5. We only go back there in the body swap episode for like a few minutes.
And if you haven't noticed, I have a dynamite body!
This season especially, I feel the show's formulaic nature was a definite hindrance to what we could have gotten. As for the new character, let's talk about the new guy, William. He's important. Later. Look, I'll be honest, I did not care for this man, especially in this season.
Don't you believe in destiny with a capital D? 2 people who've never met, but who are made for each other?
How did you know that I liked roses?
I didn't, but I figured you were like all the other girls. I object, Your Honor, extenuating circumstances. They were love letters.
You mean love makes you crazy?
Makes me totally insane.
Oh my god, shut the up. He has his moments in the next season, but there are literally 2 other versions of this guy, and they're all top tier compared to normal William. He's a character that will eventually join a team later on, but the whole purpose of his character in Season 2 is to just cause problems by making a love triangle with Yumi and Auric. Now those two's relationship was already hot garbage and didn't need anyone to help stir up any extra drama. He just sucks this season. Now this season also did something great for both Xana and the story period. It removed the rampant use of the return to the past. These teenagers had a literal time machine in the back of their pocket and they only ever abused it like twice? That's the most unbelievable thing in this entire show. But no, they're pretty responsible in that regard. Only ever using it when Xana really f***s up the place. Someone's about to die, or someone needs to forget something. But we learned each return to the past trip actually makes Xana stronger, to the point where he's actually able to possess people instead of horns and rats. So unless they really needed it, they stopped using the return to the past. Which is a good thing, because too many times in Season 1 did side characters get good moments in development, mostly Sissy, only to have it literally mean nothing because they rewind time and got rid of all of it except the main characters, right? Right? Well, yes, but actually no. The Lyoko warriors are indeed immune to the effects of the return to the past, but god, they sure don't act like they are.
I swear, if we get out of here alive, I'll be nicer to you in the future, sissy.
The very next episode.
Hey, wait, Ulrich! Are you coming tomorrow to the rehearsal? Huh?
Yeah, I'll be there, but not for you, it's for Odd.
For your information, it's thanks to me that Odd's playing the music. And if you want to be part of the group, the role of Romeo is just ideal for you.
And I suppose that you, of course, are Juliet?
Yes, that's perfect casting, don't you think?
Well, it's a perfect reason for me not to play Romeo.
Even if you're supposed to watch these episodes in any type of order due to its episodic nature, our main characters themselves don't maintain anything they learned in that episode. Sissy's still a bully most of the time, the gang bullies her and goes against themselves sometimes. Even the secret rare moment where Ulrich and William were cool with each other. Good riddance to the return to the past, until Season 3. All that aside, let's talk Xana. Xana's new goal for Season 2 is to obtain Alita's memories that contain the keys to Lyoko, and will allow him to escape the supercomputer and wreak havoc on the World Wide Web. Which, now that I say that out loud, is probably the scariest thing to happen. Xana breaks free and discovers Twitter, or gets into people's search histories, and it's not gonna end well for humanity.
So Xana thought to himself, if he's gonna get out of this computer, he's gotta change the way he plays this game.
And in the very first episode, he drops some new DLC. The Tarantula. Oh my god.
This thing just soloed the entire crew on its debut.
Alita is lucky she got a plot armor increase this season, because if she didn't, that would have happened. Oh, but Xana didn't stop there. Introducing the Creepers, the Mantas, the Schizozoa, out here f***ing up everybody. Now, I definitely remember the Schizozoa when rewatching this show. This scene was probably the scariest monster Xana ever made. Cause not only was this thing nigh unkillable, if it hit you with its grab, you better hope you got backup to break you out, because when it's done with you, the person isn't ever quite right. Also, I'm convinced this thing has a perk on Alita specifically, because whenever this thing shows up, Alita can't do shit. She's either always paralyzed with fear and can't do anything, and whenever she does run away from this thing, she finds herself on a convenient cliff edge. Hell, for the 2 times she actually does fight back, it feels out of character for her to even do so. So while Xana's on that grind in Lyoko, what's he doing on Earth? Well, Xana's attacks got a lot more boring. There are still episodes where he just wants to kill them, but they're all pretty mid. Except one. Most of Xana's attacks on Earth are through possession this season, and he'll take over anybody he can get his hands on. Even this dork. And yeet Alita into Lyoko to steal her memories. And that's the power of this season. But unlike season 1, there's far more substance and better subplots in each episode. They weren't fantastic, but definitely better than the previous season. Some of my favorites being episode 42, the body swap episode.
Hey! Now I see why Sissy's so crazy about you.
37, replacing the supercomputer's battery so Alita will stop dying.
Alita?
She unironically dies a lot in this show, it's crazy. Episode 36, where Xana and Lyoko Warriors team up to clear out Jeremy's f*** up.
Charge!
And 39, where Alita's all alone on Lyoko and is a complete Chad. Now, before I get to talking about the end of Season 2, I must highlight the one time Xana was unhinged, and how it was all Odd's fault. You see, Odd in episode 41, he says this line.
In case you didn't know, cold can kill us too, so if I were you, I'd do something about it.
He said this in order to help Yubi get a jacket to stay warm, like the good boy he is. However, Xana's like, damn, really? I don't feel anything except for the constant lust for power and destruction. But if it's a little chilly, y'all die? Add that to the list. See you in 4 episodes. And with that comes the Cold War episode, where Xana put everybody in a perpetuating winter. And it's not like he stopped at -30. No, that kept dropping. Everybody was slowly dying, slowly falling asleep. This reporter dude over here got his shit rocked and was told, no sleeping, bitch. Yumi got trapped under a tree. Auric tried getting her out, but to no avail. My man couldn't even cry because his tears would instantly freeze. And Odd's over here hauling his popsicle ass over to the factory. That episode was pretty brutal, honestly. But that's what I love about you, Xana. Alright, so let me break down the last 2 episodes of the season here. Episodes 51 and 52. The gang gathers data from Sector 5 to help decode Franz Hopper's diary, the creator of Lyoko and Xana. And they gotta activate their own tower to do the decoding process. Xana captures Odd with a message to meet up with a girl, because even the murderous AI knows that Odd is a giant man-whore. I ain't even joking.
Jean?
Yep.
Ezra? Claire? Lola?
Yep. Double yeah.
Huh? So you've dated every girl in the 8th grade?
Everyone except Heidi Klinger.
Are you trying to set a record or something?
No way. I'm just searching for true love.
Isn't tonight the night you're supposed to break up with Magali?
Yeah, that's right. And with Claire, too.
You're going steady with 2 girls at the same time? I didn't know that.
Neither do Magali and Claire. Up to now, that is.
I definitely don't remember Odd hooking up with every girl in his grade. Shoot, he probably dated girls in Yumi's grade too. Hell, Xana said, "If you're that thirsty, drink up," and slowly started drowning my guy. Now while he's doing that, he sends an evil odd clone over to Lyoko with the gang to stop them from activating the tower, shoots Yumi in the back and devirtualizes her. Then Orc begins to talk a lot of smack towards the evil odd. Well, up until... I'm about to beat my own ass. Oric then proceeds to have the best fight in the series up to this point, and kills his shadow. Caught that Sora his hands and Udo reversed it into his gut. God! Yumi saves off from drowning.
No girls ever kept me waiting that long.
My brother in Christ, you weren't trying to drown in water! And with the Decoded Diary, we learned that Alita is Franz Hopper's daughter, and that she is not a computer program, but an actual human being. The both of them were virtualized together into Lyoko, his whereabouts still unknown. Now for episode 52. We take a look into Franz Hopper's diary and learn that this man has been reliving the exact same day for almost 7 years, thanks to the Return to the Past program. Man's ready to make his own Groundhog Day. Through the diary, we learn about this thing called Carthage being the reason why he made Xana into supercomputer, and that Xana can escape from the supercomputer if he steals her memories. Odd can't get a date to the dance because everyone knows he's a Oric and Yumi are jealous like always in this weird love square they got going on. But the actual important thing happening is Alita. Under a lot of stress with this newfound information, she finds herself angry at Franz Hopper for not only taking away her life but for creating Xana in a supercomputer, putting the world she could call home again and the irreplaceable friends she's made in danger. She makes her way to the supercomputer and shuts it down, and in doing so, she dies, sacrificing herself to save the world. She got better though when Jeremy turned the supercomputer back on, so we're good. The gang then heads to Sector 5 because Jeremy discovers the fragment that Xana stole from Alita at the end of Season 1, and never needed to make an antivirus like they thought. And what happens when they get to Sector 5? Well, they get tricked, bamboozled, and definitely pranked on by Xana. With nothing in his way, he successfully takes the keys of Lyoko from Alita, and escapes from the supercomputer, killing Lyoko and Alita in the process. Till her dad, Franz Hopper, arrives and saves both. Oh boy, I'm so happy that after 52 episodes I can talk about episode 1, parts 1 and 2. And honestly, it's pretty damn solid. We learn why Jeremy went to the factory in the first place and how he discovered a supercomputer in Alita. However, she's tentatively given the name Maya to the very end of the special here. We meet Oric and
Oh my goodness!
God, I was actually stun-locked by this. There's no amount of labbing that would have prepared me for the sight of this. Odd just recently transferred over to the school here, and him and Oric immediately bond over guess what? Roasting Sissy. Oric then meets Yumi in a Panchaksila class where he immediately gets laid out. This also lights the match to this romance here. Also, I just want to quickly highlight the time Sissy laid out Jeremy with her Panchaksila skills. That was just funny as fuck. Xana then launches his first attack, shock Jeremy to death. He's just starting out, so I'll forgive him on this attempt. Jeremy then reveals what's going on to Oric about the supercomputer, Alita, the scanners, and everything. Oric then steals Odd's dog to be the guinea pig in the virtualization program. Which is mad f***ed up, by the way. Look, I know this dog isn't supposed to be here and messed up the room, but you can't just take another man's dog without his knowledge and say, "Aight, put him in, the hell with the thing." Odd, of course, gives chase, and even has Sissy tagging along with him to the factory, because she wants Oric for some bonkable reason. Odd just in time manages to get his dog Kiwi out of the scanners, but in doing so becomes the very first person to become virtualized into Lyoko. Odd then asks the obvious question,
Huh? And why am I dressed up like a giant purple cat?
After getting attacked, Oric then hops in with them. While they're trying to figure out how to fight, Jeremy proposes a theory on why they look like the way they do.
Maybe the computer just reads into your own subconscious desires and projects them onto your digital incarnation.
I don't dream about giant purple cats.
Odd, I just don't know anymore, man. I just don't. Anyways, after they both get devirtualized, they save Jeremy from getting shocked to death. And that's the end of part 1. And we immediately start part 2 with Odd back to the hairstyle we're used to. He apparently styled it after his Lyoko avatar. Surprisingly, Sissy's being treated like the 4th member of the crew here. There's even talks about her going into Lyoko. It doesn't even feel out of place after everything in part 1. She just fits in here quite well. Then Xana knocks her out, because we gotta get Yumi into this group somehow, because all she's doing at the moment is fighting Oric. We then cut to the library where Jeremy just casually drops that he found a program that'll let him rewind time. Just casually accepts it by giving him his nickname Einstein. Xana then attacks Yumi and Oric by sending some ball lightning at them, which brings Yumi into the plot because she wants to know what the hell's going on. While everyone's making their way to the factory, we see Alita getting her cardio in by running from some monsters, until the whole squad is virtualized into Lyoko and they have their very first escort mission. It goes as well as any other mission received from them. Yeah! Meanwhile, in the real world, Sissy snitches on everyone and brings some people to the lab. But it was with good intentions because she was trying to get them help and thought about everyone's well-being and not just Oric's for once. Given the fact that she was zapped unconscious by the thing they just fought the day before, Alita then learns her real name upon deactivating the tower, in which Jeremy hits the rewind button and the only question they had to ask is why they're the only ones that remember. Well, except Jeremy, but that's solved by just shoving him into a scanner. They roll Sissy and dedicate themselves to bringing Alita to Earth and stopping Xana. Honestly, for a 2-part special that's technically the first episode, it's pretty good. It sets everything up well, presents 90% of the recurring characters, and in the end we understand why our characters are interested in saving Alita. Solid prologue. I'm still unaware of what took them so long to be like, "You're doing great for us, Lyoko. You deserve an award. Here you go, it's your first episode." A new season is here, and with that we get not much more, honestly. All except Alita actually being able to attack monsters. Let's go! Not only does she have the most powerful attack in the group now, she can get devirtualized too now. This girl's getting all the upgrades each season and I'm here for it. Now, I don't know why this season is so short compared to the others with it being only 13 episodes, but we got a lot less filler, so I'll take it. This season does start off good though. Not to the degree of season 2, but the first 2 episodes are pretty solid. The very first episode does put an end to the Yumi x Oric romance. Now, I know I've been roasting this romance plot the whole video, but now's the perfect time for me to actually talk about it. And I'll be once again referencing interviews with Sophie Decroisette. One's from 2007, before the airing of season 4, one's from 2012, 5 years after the show ended, and one's from 2016, 8 years after the show came to its conclusion. Which I'll have linked in the description. Now, Yumi x Oric was presented to us from the start of the show, and we can say season 1 is the both of them unsure about their feelings as well as the other person's. Which isn't bad. It's not only very clear to us the audience, but it's also very clear to the people in universe as well, their feelings for one another.
I'm also fed up with what's happening to Yumi and me. Once in a while I get the feeling that she doesn't really like me. That she doesn't have any feelings for me.
All right, I'll tell you. I'm in love.
Ah, Yumi. I knew there was a reason.
Well, that sure seemed to satisfy your parents. What did you tell them?
The truth.
Well, what?
Hello? Anyone home?
What are you waiting for anyway?
You know they're right, Ulrich. You really ought to go for it.
Like now?
No, wait till she starts going out with another guy because she's sick of waiting for you to make a move, right?
But in episode 22, after so much back and forth with their serious jealousy issues, they get full confirmation of the other person's feelings, almost kissing on Lyoko.
You're right, Odd. And I learned something, too. Something super important.
But the show loves to pretend that this episode didn't happen. Hey, didn't Ulrich and Yumi have an episode that confirmed their feelings about each other?
It's false. No way. Not this time. Pure fiction. It's a made-up tale. It's a total fabrication. It never happened. It's an urban legend that never happened. We got you. Not a chance.
But it is so much worse in season 2. Yumi does anything with William. Ulrich's jealous. Better lead on Sissy in front of Yumi. Oh, Ulrich is being romantic with Sissy? I'll kiss William in front of him. That'll show him. Damn it, William. Why are you trying to get with Yumi? Guess I'll sulk for the 7th time.
No, that'd be too easy, Ulrich. Let me tell you what's wrong around here. My being around Yumi forces you to ask yourself a question. A tough question that you can't answer. Here's a piece of friendly advice. Go and talk to Yumi from the heart. Or else one day, I will. And then I really will be your problem.
Even after being told that by William, not once did he ever talk to Yumi.
That's not a great idea. It's a stupid idea. And anyway, I'm not that crazy about Yumi.
You a lying motherfucker. So, what's going on with the two of them? It feels like this shouldn't be an issue, let alone dragged out as it has been. I'm going to reference a specific interview question to Sophia that directly talks about this specific matter. Throughout the series, we see many insinuations of romantic relationships between Jeremy Alita and Yumi Ulrich, flirting, jealousy, a few kisses. However, these romantic relationships never go any further than that, and they're never consecrated. That is to say, the characters have never explicitly formalized their romantic relationships. In other words, they've never said, "we are a couple," and have never acted like a couple. What was the reason for that? Was it a decision made by the writers, or is this the TV channel/production preventing the evolution of romantic relationships? To which Sophie responds with, "Actually, it's much more interesting to tell a developing love story rather than a concrete one. If Ulrich and Yumi had gotten together, there would be no more challenge, no more story revolving around their romantic relationship, unless they separate and get back together again eventually." On one hand, I do personally agree with her, that watching and writing a developing story is more interesting. I'm a fan of my slice-of-life romances watching the characters fall for each other. However, I don't agree with the "there would be no more challenge, no more story revolving around their romantic relationship." Look, just because the ship set sail doesn't mean their romance story is over. You can still explore the romance and make it interesting. Getting them to be a couple is just part 1. Part 2, the actual relationship presents its own unique challenges. Having them get together, go through problems in a relationship, break up, grow as characters, and eventually get back together. I agree, would have been more interesting than what we got. The whole will they, won't they thing to me just wasn't executed well. The whole reason the whole romance plot has regressed and practically dropped this season is as Sophie says. I'll be frank, I would love to do more love-related stuff in the episodes, but we're restricted because the American audience don't like them as much as action. But if you want to know, Ulrich and Yumi are still in love, deep down. Odd, being single won't change. Then there's this 2012 interview. American and French audiences tend to blame each other for the treatment of the romance subplots from season 2 onwards. What is the truth? Well, I remember that the producers didn't want the episodes to always be focused on romance subplots. They didn't want Lyoko to become a soap opera. But I don't remember it to be a specific request from either French or American producers. The production was just globally concerned that the series would have been too much soap opera-like. Anyway, you're right, I have been warned several times against focusing too much on love, but I agreed with that. There are a lot of subjects to cover in a school environment, and I don't remember any instruction from French or American producers which would be like, no more romantic subplots. I really don't. Now for the 2012 interview with her not remembering, I'm personally gonna say it's because she hasn't worked on anything Lyoko related in 5 years and can't remember those specific details. Whereas in 2007, she was still working a little bit on season 4, despite not being the writing director anymore. And in that one, it's more insinuated that it might have been the American producers. So I choose to stick with that one going forward. You can make your own conclusions though. They wanted to make everyone happy, so let's stop the romance. I don't know what the end goal or process they had in mind for the romance before season 3 started, or learning that season 4 was going to be the last season, and they were told otherwise to make Mr. C happy, but she wanted to have them kiss in the series conclusion or would like them to. They don't. If I am to be honest, I'm glad they stopped it here because I don't know if I could handle any more of these two. Half my script for this season really is just me ranting about this romance, huh? Why am I like this? Alright, all that aside, let me talk about Xana this season. And yes, he does indeed have an episode I'd consider unhinged. Oh, but we'll get there. We'll get there. So, what's Xana's plan this season? Destroy Lyoko. Finna Alt F4 the entirety of that virtual world. And he's gonna make Alita do it. Yes, somehow, Alita got possessed by the Schizozoa this season more times in 13 episodes than the entirety of season 2. Like, what the f are y'all doing? Y'all were so good last season getting her out of this thing's grab. It is literally backhanding and weaving her attacks. When Alita gets caught, she runs into the tower and types in code Xana, and the entirety of the sector gets deleted. The reason why Xana is destroying the sectors is because the group uses these sectors to traverse to Sector 5. And if they are unable to traverse to Sector 5, he is free to attack and destroy the core of Lyoko. And when Lyoko is destroyed, no one will be able to stop him. Meanwhile, Jeremy is trying to figure out a way to virtualize everyone into the network to combat Xana. Overall, Season 3 is a solid season. I wouldn't rank it any higher or lower than Season 2. They're both like right next to each other for me. But right now, the time has come. Let's talk about Xana's unhinged plan of the season. Turning folks to stone. In episode 63, Triple Trouble, not to be confused with the very next episode titled Double Trouble. Now, I don't know how many of y'all have watched the first episode of Dr. Stone, but
Why did it get so
Yeah. Xana probably watched this very episode and said,
Oh, look at all of them. Everyone's getting stoned.
hold up, Urban Dictionary's telling me that means something else. Well, I'll look that up, I'm writing this down. Now, we start the episode off with Odd complaining that everyone's got superpowers and he doesn't anymore because Jeremy deleted his powers to see into the future because he thought it was useless. Oh, you didn't know Odd sees into the future? Neither did I when I rewatched this. They decided to delete this power from him because it was a pain to manage. On top of other things such as it being an unfitting power and it just not being a good storytelling thing. I mean, to be honest, they only used it like 4 times in season 1 and it wasn't really all that crazy. So maybe Jeremy and them were onto something when they said that. But Jeremy taking a notice of this, he said to Odd, "Yo Odd, check out this new patch I installed into the Lyoko. You just got buffed, man." "Really? Is it infinite ammo so I won't be screwed over when you can't reload me because Zana's being your for the 50th time?" "Nah, it's just fast travel." "Oh hell, that's just as good." Jeremy, I think there are a few bugs in your latest patch. Like 2 of them. Jeremy, now that there are 3 odds, they just kind of do their own thing. But then Xana comes out of a light bulb socket and what I can only assume possesses the ground? I don't know how the that works, but this is the same thing that possessed an entire food storage and made a food monster trying to kill people. So honestly, he can do whatever the hell he wants. And emerging from the ground is this strange smoke. Now, as you all know by now, Xana is no stranger to smoke. The funny kind, the poison kind, that one dude at the basketball court kind, but this smoke was really different. If it touches you, you are instantly petrified. Now, I don't know about you, but that thought is horrifying to me. Your life instantly comes to an end as your body is slowly frozen in time for all eternity. Even worse if you're still conscious, like in Dr. Stone. Xana even gets one of the odd triplets. Man is actually just done. We gotta rewind time for all this. And if we know Xana and all his other attacks, we know he's not just stopping at the school. The whole planet's getting turned to stone. Alright everybody, it's about time to talk about Willie Ham here. And he'll tie into my explanation of what happens at the end of the season. So, as I mentioned before, William was going to be a Lyoko warrior, join the crew in the fight against Xana. That was always the plan since season 2. And when does he join the crew as a Lyoko warrior? The very last episode of season 3. Now, William helped the group out like 3 times. Once in season 2 with a giant enemy crab fight, and twice in season 3 with the defusing of a bomb that was gonna blow up the factory. And lastly, saving Yumi from getting jumped by her entire class. In season 2, his role was quite minor, and the longest stretch of time where he wasn't even in an episode was 7. While for season 3, you had a little lead up. The gang thought it'd be a good idea to have a 5th member to help out. They voted once and he didn't make it in because Yumi didn't trust him, to then be the one to recruit him later. For the last episode of season 3, they scanned him into the supercomputer, making him immune to the return to the past. He's very eager to fight Xana, and then the gang gives him the lowdown. In the same episode, we see probably the best example of Xana's impeccable timing powers, because each and every single character is busy doing something. Ulrich's dad is yelling at him for being a failure, Yumi's babysitting her little brother and he's being obnoxious, Jerry's getting interviewed, and Odd's hanging out with a love interest, leaving the only people who can stop Xana from destroying the core of Lyoko when he does attack this episode are Alita and Willingham, since Jerry also figured out how to immediately virtualize him into Sector 5 before they ran out of sectors. William is very hot-headed and eager to fight, while Alita tells him that he needs to chill and take this serious, because if Xana destroys the core of Lyoko, this will be his first and last time in Lyoko. But I'm gonna be honest, William's busted. He actually one-shotted every creeper. Man just performed a whole spin attack like he's in Zelda. But he's so engrossed in fighting that when Alita tells him that he needs to get his over there, he's just like, hold on, 1 or 2 more monsters, I can't drop this combo. And like that, they get separated. And all alone. Little did William know that Xana was watching the man the whole time. And he was liking what he was seeing. So he sent in the jellyfish. Jerry was trying to tell this guy not to mess with the thing and that he should run away. But William was talking mad junk about not being afraid of this thing until Xana whispered into his ear.
It's free real estate.
Gotcha, bitch.
By the time Alita got to him, it was already too late. Xana had created an absolute menace. Xana William, one of my favorite characters in this show. Easily top 3. This man's entire being changed the show for the better in my opinion.
Like, this man has been Xanified for not even a minute, and he just straight up decimates Alita in a single slash. And Xana's just like, oh lord, where you've been my entire life. After he gets done swiping away Alita like a damn fruit fly, he heads on over to the core of Lyoko. And yet again, with one slash, breaks the first shield. What the f? This man ain't fair.
Eventually, the whole squad pulls up, and William just goes in for an Iron Man landing, breaking the ground below him.
Ulrich went on a 1v1 with William, which he kindly obliged. After he sniped the shit out of Odd, man even has aimbot. How are you gonna have a homing slash attack? That ain't fair.
Then 15 seconds later, just disarms Ulrich and stabs him in the back, hops over to Yumi and just slices through her like she was made of rice paper. Yumi's just sitting over here disappearing, saying,
I knew I should have brought you into the group. Like, you're the one that rejected the idea, then approved it, and now you're like,
yep, I knew you were a bad idea.
This whole operation was your idea. Anyway, with all that, William destroys the core and Lyoko along with it, giving Xana yet another W. That's 2 whole seasons in a row. Do you even have hands to hold both those W's?
With Lyoko gone though, it's just made things a lot more difficult to fight Xana next season.
You mean it? No!
I've been waiting the entire video to talk about this season alone. Season 4 is undoubtedly the best season of Lyoko.
It has everything. The 2D and especially the 3D have gotten the fattest budget increase. New drip for both Earth and Lyoko. The CGI turning 2D. Really cool fight scenes. Xana William. Under the sea. Xana being back on his bullshit. DJ Alita. A goddamn insert song. Continuity.
I love this season.
Doesn't mean it isn't without problems, but we'll get there. Very quick drip review. Odd, Ulrich, Yumi, upgrade. Jeremy, palette swap. Alita, downgrade. Lyoko drip review. Yumi, Ulrich, Alita, upgrade. Odd, downgrade. So, during the making of Season 4, they were aware that this was going to be their final season. To quote our friend Sophie Decroisette again, at the time there hadn't been any desire to create Season 5 on the part of the broadcasters, FTV and Cartoon Network, so we decided to give it a proper ending. No sequel had been thought of at the time, to my knowledge. So everything that happens in this season is with the full knowledge that the series would end here with seemingly no plans for a sequel. This could be the reason as to why there were so many odd-focused episodes, because he was definitely the most underdeveloped in the group. But then they did this weird character assassination thing with him, where he was actually just terrible to his friends. But for the most part, this season was pretty well balanced with its episodes. There are plenty of plot-focused episodes, Xana attack episodes involving his signature methods, kidnapping Alita, and something to kill the Lyoko warriors with. With those episodes being overall enjoyable and referencing back to things that happened in previous seasons, which is really cool. I was actually rewarded for watching that robot basketball episode in Season 1. Except for episode 73. That episode didn't follow continuity to the point where the results were quite disastrous. In that episode, Odd and Alita, who are pretending to be cousins to the rest of the world, kiss each other to get rid of Sissy's goons. The plan works because these two are convinced that the two of them are going out until the end of the episode. This particular episode for making me Google what's okay in France. It's not okay in France, by the way. It was never okay in France.
So at the end of Season 3, Lyoko is destroyed. And at the beginning of Season 4, Jeremy and Alita just make another one. Well, that was easy. Yeah, at the end of Season 3, France Albert just shows up again and shoots Jerry a DM with data on how to rebuild Lyoko. Kinda puts the purpose of Season 3 into question when the entire conflict was solved at the start of the very next season. But anyways, the Lyoko warriors will traverse through the digital sea within their new ship, fighting Xana's new monsters that came in the latest Lyoko expansion. Entering inside these replicas of Lyoko sectors, to then travel to the real world in their Lyoko forms and destroy abandoned supercomputers that Xana has taken over and is using the surrounding area for his plans for world domination, which is not limited to but including a Siberian robot army and giant Amazon spiders. You already know which one is worse. All the meanwhile, Xana wants to toss Alita into the digital sea and have her father, Franz Hopper, appear to save his daughter, so he can hopefully destroy him because this man has been undermining all his W's he's worked so hard to get. The best part about this whole replica thing is that our heroes become proactive instead of reactive like in the previous seasons. This time they're taking the fight to Xana in order to stop him. Instead of the usual, great, Xana possessed a pack of wolves, should probably stop that. Speaking of Xana, unhinged. That's the only way to describe it. An AI whose sole purpose is to destroy and enslave the human race. What does it gain? Truly, what is its purpose for such out-of-pocket behavior? Reversing gravity.
eternal winter, global petrification. What more does it want? Surely it's out of idea.
The mass and velocity of the comet known as VG 724 are so great that striking the Earth would provoke an explosion equivalent to 1,000 times the strength of the atomic bomb dropped on Hiroshima in 1945. Subsequent earthquakes and tsunamis would destroy the world's major cities. Atmospheric debris would blot out the sun in a long night lasting 2 centuries. Consequently, this would spell mass extinction for flora and fauna and the entire human race.
Lord have mercy. Xana as a villain has already cemented himself as a menace to society by episode 2. But I never stopped him. No, he always tried new things, some simple, some very creative. But in episode 75, Xana unleashed his most unhinged plan yet, titled, Try and Stop a Whole Meteor. Xana really said, if Baldur can throw 2, why can't I hurl 1? And guess where that shit's gonna land too?
Oh no! Into the factory!
Bro, he had to make it an absolute priority that their main hub was Ground Zero. He hijacked a military satellite and redirected it with such accuracy that just landing on Earth wasn't enough. Jérôme had to shoot his own laser at the damn thing just to save the human race and immediately hit that rewind button. There's nothing else to really comment on with this episode. This heinous act alone is Xana's most unhinged attack in 97 episodes. Man, I love Xana. Oh, you thought we were done? Xana isn't the only mess around. Nah, he makes them too. His drip, clean. His theme, banger. Specialty, buying motherfucker. Every single minute that this man was on screen, it was some of the best action this series ever had. They barely ever got a win on this man. Auric tried so many times and he just got destroyed. We also got Dumb William this season. Dumb William is a clone that Jerry made to take William's place on Earth while he's beating everyone's ass in Lyoko. The difference? He's stupid. And I love him. Ugh. Xana William was ripped from us way too soon. Even I'd admit they did William real dirty at the end. Let's talk about that. In episode 93, third to last episode, they managed to bring him back from being under Xana's control. But then the very next episode, they gave him the coldest of shoulders, pretty much shadow banning him with no hopes of redemption. He's benched for the remainder of the episode until, guess what? He gets possessed again. Just being up aired by IRL one last time before he gets freed. Lastly, in the final episode, they gave him 30 seconds of screen time and call it a day. And the worst part is, there was never any hope for redemption for this guy if there was even another season. If Cole Lyoko had it ended with season 4, what would you, the writers, have wanted to do with William's character? Jérôme and myself had always imagined William's character as a spoil sport. He had the ability to be a Lyoko warrior, but he's too much of a hothead and too marginal. And then he's in love with Yumi, which complicates things for Auric. This character needed to remain someone who caused trouble within the group and who would eventually become more of an agent of Xana than a Lyoko warrior, because all things considered, he's drawn towards the dark side. So there you have it. William wasn't gonna get anything. He was gonna stay on Xana's team or find his way back there. Now, as a massive evil William fan, even I gotta say, justice for William. As I transition over to summarizing the final episodes, I must say that this definitely feels like a rushed ending. It ends on a happy note, yet still very unsatisfying, as I mentioned, with William being one of those reasons why. It starts here in episode 92, while Yumi and Odd try to take care of the Siberian supercomputer, while also dealing with Xana William in the real world for the first time. Xana begins to draw energy from all the other replicas in Lyoko in order to install the largest DLC he's ever dropped.
Oh wow. Jeremy? Auric, I'm getting something on my screen.
What is it? Auric? Aelita?
We've got a new monster to deal with, Jeremy, and he's gigantic.
The Colossus. And it is quite a big deal, as you can see. Even though my man's built like a wide giant Bravo.
What do you think? Aren't I having a good hair day? Be brutal, mama.
Barely making their escape from this thing in their ship until the very next episode when it gets duffed into oblivion. There goes the hunt for replicas. Also, speaking of next episode, Jeremy walks up to everyone and brazenly says this.
Got some good news, Jeremy?
Just a little. I finally figured out a way to wipe out Xana.
What? Sir, y'all have been fighting this thing for over 90 episodes, and you just come out here and say, yep, I have an I win button?
That's right.
Oh my god, he has an I win button. So apparently, through all the data they've gathered while on their ship, plus all the stuff they've got from Franz Hopper, he's created a multi-agent system, similar to Xana, that will destroy Xana, but it's incomplete. First, they gotta save William.
Victory!
Well, that was easy. Now for the second to last episode. We start with Alita having a premonition of her father dying. Oh dear. Wait, Jerry received a message from Franz Hopper and wants to see everyone? Oh dear. William shows up? Fuck him, I guess. So the original gang is virtualized into Lyoko, and Alita gets to meet her father, who I forgot to mention is a bubble for some reason. Meanwhile, William gets Xanified pretty much instantly and tosses Jeremy aside like a used tissue. Xana then sends Johnny Colossus to beat them up while Jeremy's napping.
I'm gonna hit a homer today.
Yumi purposely gets stepped on to go assist Jeremy in the real world, while Auric tries to kill the Titan. Well, he's got the 2 swords for it, he's just missing the rest of the gear. But he is doing a damn good job soloing this thing, and even gets neutral destruction on it. Meanwhile, Franz Hopper, always in the giving mood, hands Jeremy the data to finish his I win button. But of course, they gotta run it in Sector 5. On Earth, however, Auric joins the William Smackdown alongside Yumi, while Jeremy tries to figure out a way to get more power into the supercomputer to actually run his I win program. How is he gonna get more power? Of course it's Franz Hopper. He kinda just shows up like always and is gonna give it to him. However, it's gonna take some time transferring the power on over, and Alita, not wanting to let her father die, elects not to run the I win program. As much as she struggles, it's too late. She watches as her father is killed by monsters in front of her, never truly reuniting like she always wanted. Her only family taken from her. Placing her hand onto the terminal, she completes Jeremy's I win program and runs it, killing Xana off for good.
Lolita, we've done it. Xana's been destroyed. I'll bring you home now.
Alita mourns for her loss with her friends, the only thing she has left. And that's how the episode ends. Episode 95 is the gang debating whether or not to shut down the supercomputer. Alita is the only person with a valid reason not to. Yumi wants to turn it off immediately. She doesn't really care. Auric and Odd would miss being heroes that saved the day, while Jeremy believed their friendship was linked to the supercomputer, and turning it off would damage it. While Alita doesn't want to let go of her past and the memory of her father, they all do decide that it's best for them to shut down the supercomputer. Each of them then have a few highlights in the form of a montage. They all come together, shut down the supercomputer, and the credits roll. This is how the show ends. Xana, the ultimate menace, was defeated by an actual I win button within 2 episodes. Not even built up well. There is so much lore about Franz Hopper that wasn't even explored or explained. What was Carthage exactly? The Men in Black. Alita's mother, who we learned this season was kidnapped by the Men in Black when Alita was very young, and it only got 1 flashback sequence. That's just to name a few untouched mysteries that the show never got a chance to go over. It's been a long time since I watched Lyoko, and being able to watch it again with fresh eyes years later was an absolute joy. I had a good time binge watching and researching for this video, and man, it's a flawed show, gotta admit that. But I understand why I and so many people were so fond of this show. For its time, it was so unique and very impressionable to young audiences. Some things in here still hold up very well. Before we talk about what happened after the series concluded, I want to take this moment to talk about the characters over the course of 4 seasons and 97 episodes. When it comes to the characters, there's only 8 in this show that actually matter. There's our core 5, Yumi, Auric, Jerry, Odd, and Alita, followed by the stronger supporting characters, William, Jim, and Sissy. So I'm gonna just talk about them real quick. Technically Xana can be added to that, but he's just an unhinged AI with a simple goal, and Franz Hopper, who wasn't explored nearly enough. To start, I gotta talk about Odd first. I feel like Odd was a lot of people's favorite character when they first watched it, me included. Now, while he's not in the top spot anymore, I still love this man. He was just fun, funny, and cool as f***ing Lyoko, and overall just enjoyable in a lot of episodes he was in. However, he was the least developed and explored character out of the main party. And Season 4 didn't do him any favors. It kind of really actively made him unlikable in parts. It's strange because it only seems like in Season 4 is it this apparent. Auric, Yumi, and Jeremy fall into a similar category for me. I just have like a straight neutral opinion on them. All 3 did get their pieces of development and great moments. Funnily enough, I feel like Season 3 onwards, I feel like Yumi and Auric got better.
when their romance was dropped, or just more bearable to watch. Jim is that character that you didn't like as a kid, but when you see him again when you're older, you realize the man was just doing his job. Jim has plenty of stellar moments that show off that he's a good teacher and actually cares about his students, even from time to time helping out the gang and saving their lives, but then they hit the rewind button. Jim, as I'd rather not talk about a bit, is absolutely hilarious and integral to his character.
Never seen anything like it, sir. Well, except when I investigated paranormal phenomena for a highly special secret service section.
You did? I didn't know that.
I did, but I'd rather not talk about it. It's a classified defense secret.
William and Sissy fall under the disappointment category. They both deserve better. Their characters needed to be handled better. Hell, at least William to be became a badass when he turned evil. Sissy, what did she get? Nothing. We know Sissy could be a good character if she wanted to. The problem is she's only nice 10% of the time. The rest of the time she's just a bitch. Like with William, she was meant to just be an antagonist on Earth and nothing more. William is in the same boat, as in if he was gonna join the Lyoko Warriors, even as a future antagonist, they could have built him up as a future member better instead of, hey, I'm just here to stir up trouble. It's a shame that we would never see some form of redemption for him to make amends, or that something like that wasn't even on the table. Lastly is Alita, who is actually hands down the best character in the entire show. And no, it's not because she has the most normal hairline, but it's a bonus. I don't know what barber she had on Lyoko, but they made sure she was humble as to not show off her 5-head. But besides being the actual most important character in the show each and every season, still finding ways to be relevant, she's also the most developed character too. She goes from this human who thought she was an AI to a girl relearning how to relive life on Earth and cope with the stress as her path unfolds before her.
Do you really think it's going to work, Jeremy? Do I have a chance of finally becoming materialized in your world and becoming somebody like you?
Do you mind?
Alita, I hate to talk with my mouth full. Would you mind taking over?
Sissy, your head is so full of helium, you can float to the top.
She's always been kind, compassionate, and selfless to a fault even since season 1. I don't know how you can dislike this girl. She was one of the best parts of this show for me, and became my #1 favorite character once I finished. Now, what was next for Lyoko after the original series ended? It's been about 15 years since the final episode aired, so what's all happened since then? Well, there are only a few things to note. First being Lyoko Reloaded, the name given to a bunch of hopeful projects to expand the Lyoko name, first announced or discovered for being accurate back in 2008. One of the projects being a Lyoko live-action series that we will later know as Lyoko Evolution by 2013, but people rather not talk about that. The next being 4 Lyoko books that do tell a story post-season 4, but apparently they were a commercial flop, only ever releasing all 4 books in Italy and Spain. And funnily enough, only the first 2 books were released in France, which is kind of a kick to the face considering the show's origin. They unfortunately never came out in English, but thankfully the community has already translated all 4 books. I do kind of want to read them, not gonna lie. Those, however, were the only 2 things to be realized. Some of the other projects we never got to see, the biggest being a MMORPG. In 2011, there was a fan event in Madrid, France that looked like a lot of fun. In January of 2014, the company Moonscoop would go bankrupt. Their assets and employees transferred to Matatoon, a subsidiary to Duragod, who's also known as Ellipsime, and are the current right holders to Lyoko. This is also probably the reason why Lyoko disappeared from Netflix around this time, to later come back in 2020. The only thing Lyoko related in 7 years. Oh my god, you made it to the end of the video. This video is already probably long enough. It was great looking back at my childhood, and hopefully it was entertaining for you too. The whole thing's on YouTube on the official channel at the time of this recording, so go crazy. This is the beginning of a new type of content I want to start putting onto this channel here, and I wanted to start off big. So do what you gotta do. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Help your boy hit 1,000 subscribers, that's the goal, please and thank you. And enjoy the rest of your morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever the heck you may be.